These days, I'm the best in the business. I can hit a bank and disappear in 2 days, and nobody would ever know I was even there. I could talk my way into Congress if I wanted to. I've survived because I'm extremely careful. I live alone. I sleep alone. I eat alone. I trust no one.
I don't seem like the criminal type, but I am, and so are you. In fact, almost everyone is. A lot of people go through their lives breaking the law, almost every day, one law or another. And many of them don't even realize what they're doing is illegal. My point is the category of criminal has become so very wide in the modern world that almost everyone is a criminal and almost no one thinks of themselves as a criminal. So many people break some drug law or another. So many people break some international transit law or another. Hell, cheating on their taxes is nigh universal. The law as a category is not a moral judgment. So many people go through their lives as a criminal without ever thinking of themselves as a bad person. The detail's definitely in there to create a sense of reality. And of course, not all of the details in there are true. But yeah, it's to add a level of texture. Because one thing that fascinated me about the crime world was how the hell do people do this? I can understand why. I know all the motivations already. Greed, love's a big one. Hatred, desperation, all of those. Everybody's had criminal desires. But how do you turn those desires into reality? Then you get to the nuts and bolts. How do you live a normal life when you're being hunted by governments for the things that you've done? I know how to steal $10. How do I steal 100, 1,000, 1,000,000? That's information that fascinates me. Why aren't there any heroes? I don't know. I've never met one. Instead, all I seem to meet, at least in my everyday life, are people who aren't really good, aren't really evil, but are pragmatic. They do what needs to be done. And I find that in certain circles, at least in criminal circles, and among people who are drug addicts, the good and bad isn't a question. It doesn't just become fuzzy in your mind, but it goes away entirely. Instead, people focus on, okay, what's next? There's kind of a big question in moral philosophy about where the sense of good and evil comes from. Is it inborn, or is it something that's learned? Is it simply superego? I made a world where it's superego. Your knowledge between the difference of your knowledge of the difference between good and evil is something that you have to learn, something that you have to work at constantly. And if you want to be a good person, that's something you've got to really, really try to do. And I found most people aren't up to the task. Film noir has a really terrific dialogue style. Aside from a lot of essential things about film noir that translates to roman noir, things like the intense mood and shading and setting. There's a certain banter and pluck to how film noirs were written that I wanted to make modern in my dialogue. When it comes to things like atmosphere, plot, and setting, I didn't draw very heavily from noir. But when it comes to that zing, noir's the thing. I read a lot of James Cain. He's one of my favorite noir authors, classic noir authors. He's my favorite classic noir author. Because his efficiency of language was tremendous. Something that I didn't want to recreate, but I admire. Something that he could cram a 1,000-page novel into about 150 pages. That's impressive. That's a use of language that was novel at the time and is still impressive as hell today. I did extensive research on this, most of it being on the internet, because on the deep web, on the secret web, on the encrypted web, you can go to chat rooms and talk to anyone about anything. I've found websites where I could go and chat to working hitmen with working hitmen. I found websites where you can go and buy anything you want, from sex to guns to bombs to poisons to every single possible drug you can imagine.
Well, I've got you in my sights. Is this a science fiction weapon? No, it's something a lot better. This is a medical tool. Now, you've been to a doctor and had a hypodermic syringe send medicine into your body through a needle. Well, this is a gun for administering a vaccine. It's called a pedojet, and the vaccine actually passes in a compressed stream directly through the skin. There's no needle involved. And this instrument is a real testimony to how we've been able to extend immunization around the globe, because it's with instruments like this that enable doctors to vaccinate large numbers of people. And this is how smallpox was eradicated from the planet 30 years ago.
Even antibiotics, if you should need them. I found a man who would steal for hire. So if you wanted someone to steal you an Xbox, you could do it. A bespoke thief, if you may. And the other part of my research was very hands-on, involved every parent's nightmare, going into the middle of the city, going to the criminal bars, and just trading drinks for stories. You would not imagine the incredible variety of crime stories you can get with a pack of cigarettes and an open ear. For me, it didn't really matter if the stories were true. I'm no undercover cop. I'm not trying to verify anything. I'm not trying to make any cases. But when you're just sitting in a bar, it becomes very, very easy to start smoking, start drinking, and hear everything that this town's underworld is up to. My advice to aspiring writers is stop writing your novel and go and get publishing credits. Write a short story. Write a bunch of short stories and get them placed. You want to get yourself noticed first. My mistake was between my freshman year of high school and my senior year of college, I wrote 6 novels and slush piled them. Don't do that. I only received any modicum of appreciation and success when I switched tactics and decided one summer to write short stories every single day. That's how you do it. That's my advice.